which is about the story, the panoramic spectra of Jivaka Chintamani. So looking forward to the lecture, sir. Over to you, sir. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Sir, please unmute, sir.
Om Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayiryanam, Namo Uvachayanam, Namo Loye Savvasahunam, Eso Pancha Namo Karo, Savvapapa Panasano, Mangalanancha Savvesim, Padamam Avai Mangalam. Padamam Abhimangalam. Thank you so much, Jai Jinendra. I just opened my file. I didn't have time to prepare the slides part of it. I just tried, somehow I thought I could come out with panoramic spectra that honestly speaking, so many things in between. I could not really get all that. I'll take some few episodes that the mastery in the kind of the Jivaka Chintamani worlds. 1 second. Can you see me? So I was talking about that Jivaka Chintamani has got 13 chapters called Yelampakam. And in the previous one, I did not touch it upon it because I thought I'll pick it up. He just, as being Tirutaka Deva, didn't want to only talk about 8 brides he got married, Jivaka, because the request was from the Academy of Tamil Changam that he should cover that. He wanted to enlarge it. When Jivakan, so the story begins that it's a beautiful description. He talks about Hemangata in Bharadakshetra. Then Hemangata actually means the Mysore region because there is Kolar mines. That's how, and Pannalal Shastriji has pinned it to say it is from south. The capital is Rajamapuram, and there are 77 stanzas giving the description about the country. It's a very revealing how your country should be, what should be its constitution, what should be its culture, what should be its outlook. In first 77 stanzas, he pours it out. Amazing. That's the reason I said panoramic spectrum. I want to see giving the different ecology and the kind of thing having the organic farming and amazing richness, the music, local folk music, etc. In first 77 stanzas, he talks about the country as a whole, next section talks about the capital Rajamapuram. And so so much you can see we're very keen when we read that one. Who is a ruler? Naturally, the enthusiasm keeps asking, who is the ruler of such a great country? And then he introduces Sachandan, in Sanskrit called Satyendran, the king, very honest king. His hierarchy is from Kuru dynasty. You know that there are five Vamsas Lord Adibakun created, and he from the Kuru dynasty. Kuru dynasty is the Shanti Tirthankar, Kundu Tirthankar, Hara Tirthankar, they come to that. And he married an excellent lady called Vijaya. She was from Videha, that is Bihar. Today's Mithila, Bihar part of it. Vijaya has been a lady having all the virtues from physical beauty to the kind of personality. And so the king gets highly attached to her. It is not only the sexual attraction they had, the company of Vijaya, everybody will be loving to have such a wife in one's life, and everything, full character, intelligence, knowledge, etc. So Vijaya, he becomes really attached, and he found that dealing with the royal duties became interference for him. So he had one minister, very loyal minister by name Katiyankaran or Kashrankar. Because Kashrankar itself is a story, he comes from a lower class and he has been made a minister. So when he found that it's going tough, he could not leave Vijaya. He thought that ruling the country is a problem. Then he gives delegates of powers to Katiyankaran against the advice of all his trusted ministers. And then he started spending exclusive time with his wife. As the times go by, the power corrupts people. Katiyankaran tasting power, solely thought, why cannot become permanent? So he was putting a Machiavellian conspiracy was hatching, which the king was not aware of. But when things were coming to him that, so the minister is becoming crooked, ungrateful, and by that time, Vijaya became pregnant. Vijaya had two dreams. The two dreams clearly revealed that King Sachendran would die and an offspring would come with kind of amazing one thing. I'm unable to take that script because epic, because it is Tamil, is difficult to translate. Such a very, very flowery language. You know, the author Tiruthakkadeva takes opportunity not to miss dharma to any opportunity. When things come, and so he understood that he is going to lose the power, but he didn't want to lose his offspring. So he asked one of his trusted fellows, engineer, to make a machine, a plane, aeroplane, in the shape of peacock. He devises it with a payload of 2 people. So the king, and he teaches first that engineer, the king learned it, then he teaches Vijaya, and they become very proficient in flying that peacock machine. So unfortunately, that fine day, when he attacks, the whole palace is sieged by Katiyankaran. Then he sends her off with great difficulty. She didn't want to go. He said, we have to bring up the child which is there. And so it's a beautiful flow of giving about the dharma, about our life, which is anitya, and amazing. That the outpouring is so much because Tiruthakkadeva got the earliest opportunity talk about the 12 bhavanas. He talks about anitya bhavana. He talks about sharir, how is it anitya, asharan, etc. It both beautifully discusses that point. With reluctance, she flies away because she says, you also come. He said, as a king, I cannot come. And secondly, the payload is only for 2. She was in the advanced stage of pregnancy. She flies away. Once she starts flying, then he attacks. He knows that losing battle, then he becomes attains martyrdom. So here, the first part I said that what a country should be, an excellent education what a country to be, how it should be healthy, how it should be wealthy, what are the resources required, and amazing description. Then about the capital, about the king, and so on, about the queen, ministers. It's an excellent description goes. It's an education for all of us how to take it forward whenever we have the opportunity to do the governing administration part of it. It so happens that when she was flying, the trumpet heralded that Katingaran won and Sachindan is killed. Once hearing the sad news, he loses control of the machine, and the machine, the engineer kept in auto mode that it could just safely land. So it just outskirt in the cremation, Samsan cremation ground, it lands. It was evening, and she develops labor pain, delivers this boy. There's another opportunity that again the author picks it up. Morning, she was in the palace, attended by a lot of people. By evening, sunset, and she's all alone. She's accompanied, only companies are all the burning bodies and the skulls. Beautiful. It says, if anybody doubts there is a soul, there is Pap or Pun, please see Vijayama Devi, the wretched place that she is there, and give that part. She communicates with the child, infant. You would have been given a lot of celebration. What pap you have done? What is a bad karma you have done or I have done? And so there's a culture here in this Chintamani is, we say bad luck. No, they say, what thing I have done that you are suffering? So this is something the culture we need to do. Another thing which is said in Tamil culture, even today we follow in our villages, if anybody, any stranger, any outsider comes, we always greet all of them, Wango, Wango. And we invite them to our house. So that is being very nicely described, how the people invite, give them Atiti Upachar, and is beautifully described. And today also, because I said, and Jiva Chintamani is in our now kind of so much in blood, and every village people will say, Wango, Andaraye, Bati. So he describes that. So he says that, so you are born here, had you were born there, it would have been a different story. But anyway, she feels that he has to be saved. She cannot stay for longer because Katingaran's army can catch and kill this child. She wants to, she is helpless actually. And a goddess of that place takes pity on her, takes the form of one of her maids, Shanpakamala. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There is some of the nice, voice. Okay. She takes the form of Shanpakamala, trusted aid. She helps her, let us hide, leave the child, leave your ring there so that anybody. And then as the luck would have it, one of the richest merchants of the Rajamapuram, he keeps on losing he doesn't get any child born gets died. And so he was bringing the dead infant to bury it. And then we see that radiant Jivakan, that child rather, not the name is not given. Then he sees that there is a ring there. I understood it is our prince has born. And when he was about to lift, as I said, he sneezes and the Devata blesses him, the goddess blesses him, Jiva. Even today we do that. Jiva, Nurandu Valga. So the moment is that then he says, okay, his name is Jivaka. He takes him, and so that he gets all the love, he tells his wife that you have unnecessarily given me a living child to be buried. You see how radiantly. So he was very happy, and it is reminded of Yashoda, of Sri Krishna, and the child is brought up. So then as he grows, and also the lot of trusted people of the courtesans of Sachindan, they were scared that children should not be killed by Katingaran. They sent all their small children to Kantukadan. The merchant, his name is Kantukadan. And so Jivagan gets a lot of friends now. and they all come up together. And as he grows about 5 years old or so, then he has to be given the education. As his punya karma would have it, there is one saint comes, not the saint now, he is a laity, Grahastha, Achanandi, Acharya Achanandi comes. He was a king of Vidyadhara king, took renunciation, became a Muni, and as luck would have it for Jivaka, he develops Basmaroka, and he goes around, he becomes a laity again, goes around and comes to this place. And again, the entire food was given, his hunger could not be quenched. And desperation, and so he was very desperate. Jivaka, the child sitting beside him, Tata, ab ye bhi kha lijiye. He says, you take this also. The moment the child gives one morsel to him, he gets cured. That is the kind of Jivaka, the amazing, that Midas touch here. So Achanandi gets stunned. He understood why he got the disease. Then he asks Kandakadan about the child. Kandakadan tells him he is a prince of this country and give him the best education. So since Achanandi was a Kshatriya, a king by thing, give the best of education. He was a Vidyadhara king, so gives the best of education to Jivaka and all his brothers, cousins, so on. And time comes when about 15 years, so he gives about 8 years or so education. The time has come that he had to leave. For leaving, then Achanandi thought it is the right time to tell him who he is. He takes him aside and tells a story. There was a king, there was this swan like this without telling the name, and he was killed by his so-called trusted minister. And he says, why are you telling the story? Who is that? He said the king is Sachinandan of this kingdom. I see. What happened? In what way I am connected? You are his son. He became extremely furious. Kind of the Kashaya Samudgad, what we read, could not be contained, like an ocean overflowing. Just as if, that kind, that tsunami has come. Achanandi was surprised. So much education came, he's not able to control his temper. He goes out of temper. Then he says that, okay, give me Guru Dakshana. Oh, yes, he said, yes. What is the next 1 year, he will not take any arm. He used that one, then advises him with a beautiful advice again, worth reading, how the life should be taken forward, how one should have control of one's own temper. Then he tells him that you are only 15 years old, you need an army, so go around the country. Now develop the capabilities, resources, then attack him. This is not time. You will have 1 year to do that. And takes his permission, again becomes a saint. The great Achanandi goes to Nirvana. Look at the punya. The person who was pursuing his tapasya, penance, develops this disease only to teach this boy. So that is a punya of it. Very interesting story part of it. That's why this chapter is Ilambaka is called Namagal Ilambaka. Since he was taught, Namagal means Saraswati. So Tirutaka Devar gives the title of this long one. It's a very long one episode, and the chapter, more than 300 stanzas, discuss various things because he takes the opportunity. So he takes the opportunity to give the medicine. The story is a carrier, packaging. So he takes that. So if even one reads, that's why the Britishers, when they read this, they got moved. They kept the syllabus for BA without any bias. That's how it's up. This is the first chapter. And here, the panorama what I wanted is about talking about how a country should be rich, economy of it should be rich, how people should be loving each other, how they should be caring each other, and in the state of distress, and the wealth is being said, and about agriculture. The agriculture, and he clearly amply says the fish is freely moving around in the rice field, telling that it is a ahimsa agriculture, and the fish, in fact, it takes care of the insects, etc. Now we use pesticide. I was stunned the way agriculture is a great description part of it. Talking about this chapter, Tirutaka wanted to make a correction of the Tamil literature. There was a very famous stanza often quoted those days. That is the one stanza which talks from Purananuru that gives how one archer, very good in archery, sends an arrow, and that arrow kills 5 animals one after another. That was being talked of the town those days, part of it. So when the opportunity came, he wanted to correct it. Himsa is not the one to be celebrated. It is not Imsanand we should be celebrating, part of that is our Raudra Dhyan. So the great saint takes the first up, and the very first stanza is the one he puts it. He says, very rich ecology. There are so many first, tall, what you call this, coconut trees. Then we have the betel nut trees. Then we have the jackfruits. Then we have the mango. And so 4 of them all companion live together, companion crop, the richness. So packed, then the one coconut falls and on the head of the betel nut tree. That is the first stanza in this chapter. He wants to deliberately, he says false. There's no need of it. He could have simply said they're all rich, full of fruits and all. But he wanted to correct that stanza which is being in the circulation, that Puranaranu stanza, which talks of again Imsa, killing of it. So by mature coconut falls on the head of the betel nut. Because the betel nut there were so much of honeybees were there, they get disturbed, and from there the coconut nest falls on that jackfruit. Jackfruit again takes it, it falls again, many of the mangoes are falling off. So this is a description he puts it. Recently, 40 years back, one professor from Annamalai University took this as a stanza. He said that how the poet in the very first stanza wanted to say what is important. He says that coconut actually is Vijayama Devi, and then the next one, that betel nut is Jivakan, then the jackfruits are his wives, and mangoes are his brothers. And the Vijayama Devi guides all of them to renunciation. So he wanted to show that renunciation is the real path of life. And so he wanted to put it. Otherwise, he could have simply said, these all hold rich in fruits. And so he wanted to correct that naturally falling, not that disturbing the honeybees, it's all Hagimsa way. He wanted to put it. It's a beautiful, research article that we see from very first stanza. This reminds me of the Samayasar Acharya Sri Kuntakunta Acharya's Samayasar second stanza. There itself talks about Swasamay and Parasamay. You don't need more to read another 415 total gathas, but in this very second gatha after Mangalacharan, he said, you understand what is Swasamay, what is Parasamay. All the other things are descriptors. Same way, same culture, I think Tirutaka followed it in the very first stanza, giving the richness of the ecology there, agriculture, horticulture, and telling that, following it up, saying it, Vijay too, and all his brothers. The second chapter is about Govindayar Yelampakam. Here actually Govindai is a lady, a bride of the shepherd in charge. It gives already in a measure, Kattingaran was not a capable king, that makes sense, because the hunters around from the jungle, from the forest, they assembled together, joined together, 50,000 of them assembled together and take the cattle. This is a sure way of saying you come, and once you take the cattle, that's a way of telling. In Virat Desh, you could see it in Mahabharata, and cattle are being taken away. The king has to attack. He cannot be. That's a way of challenging the king. Naturally, Kattingaran sends his sons and army. They get defeated because time has come to now introduce our hero Jivaka. And the shepherd in charge, he then announces, Nandarkon announces that whoever recovers our cattle will be given so much of land, etc., and my daughter as the bride. So Jivakan feels that it is my kingdom, it is my duty, that I need to, I am a citizen in any case. And so he goes along with his brother, but he has given already a vow to his Guru Achananti, he will not take arms. And if the great tactics is able to defeat those hunters and recovers the cattle. Already the message goes to Kattingar, and there is somebody who is better than you, the kind of thing. A message goes there. So then he gives his daughter Govinda for marriage. Then Vijay Jivaka felt is not the right time to marry, or also there is another reason he cannot marry the another class because he is a Kshatriya. So he gives that Govinda to his one of his Padumugan, his brother, associate, he gives to that. That's how the small chapter called Govinda A.R. Ilambagam, he ends there. Third chapter is a very big chapter, an important chapter. Again, the hero's character is revealed there. And it here is a one Gandharva Datta, great exponent in music, in Veena. She is a princess of Vidyadhar King Kaluguvega. She is a Vidyadhar girl, and the Nimitak already told that he will get married. She will get married to a person from Rajamapura. So the king was worried, was waiting for an opportune time to send his daughter here. And her condition was that I will marry a person who wins me over, Veena recited. That is how the thing. So the Kaluguvega was waiting for an opportunity. One merchant from Rajamapura called Sridatta. Then he comes to his kingdom and he was returning. They realized that he is returning, so he is an opportunity to send that. It was full of the shiploads of gold was there in this. With happily was returning. Name itself is Sridatta. So with being a Vidyathar, so like Prospero in Shakespeare's Tempest, we can say, and they play a trick as if his ship is wrecked, and he reaches the seashore with so much wretched feeling, sorry that he lost all his wealth and wealth. That's what we describe. Beautiful description. We are reminded of Shakespeare's Tempest and Prospero, the character. And when Sridatta was very much remorse, his associate comes from king's associate comes, said, come to the king, he will try to help you. And the king then reveals to him that actually your ship is all very good. I'm sorry, because there is thing that my daughter need to be sent. So take her as your daughter, take and arrange a swayamvar at the Veena recital. And Veena is called Yal in Tamil, and whoever wants to do that. So he comes back with the permission of the king, organizes the swayamvar, and all the kings around the neighboring countries are invited, all the people eligible. And 6 days it runs. Nobody could match her. And things in the end reaches the ears of Jivaka that there is something going on. Nobody is able to do it. Again, he feels in my kingdom it should not happen. The girl has come all the way. She cannot go like that. So he goes there. When he goes there, and some of his people who recognize him because he has already done that, cattle being recovered, his heroship was already known. They said, why don't you try? Then he goes. It's a beautiful story. Again, we'll have to see. And first he finds fault with any instrument that is being given. Each instrument, he says, it has this fault, it is made of this wood. There's so much one after another keeps on showing the defect in them. Gandharva Datta looking at him, she's very happy that here is a person knows. Because Achanandi being a Vidyadhar king already told him all these stories. He knew it. So she was very happy already. So finally, he says that you have inherited from Bahubali's relatives Nami and Vinami, and they are given, goes to the Adi Puran story. I think people should read it. Our Nami and Vinami and pray Adi Bhagavan Lord Rishabhnath when he was in penance, how Dharnendra comes and gives this award. So he has given two Venas. It is with you. One is with Gandharvadatta now. Bring the other one, then I'll play. So naturally, the other one was given, and the defeat says she's more than happy because she got somebody who is more than equal, and they get married. That's how now Cutting Current feels jealous that here is one boy from merchant class, and he's able. So he instigates other kings that you fight with him. Here is an interesting story. In Tiritaka Deva uses two. One is the thief, another is a tiger. Pullavar U.V. Swaminathan could not understand what is this trying to say. Where is the contest of tiger and thief? There is nobody here, tiger and thief. He was perplexed. Then one fine day, somebody comes to his house, they discuss, and he uses this simile of tiger and thief. He said, what is that? Can you repeat? He said, the best way to get rid of your enemy is to make the other enemy to fight against him. So it is the story was very popular those days, Tirutaka Deva time. In the forest, one rich man was going along with limited bodyguards, and thief encountered him, and he was finding it difficult. Luckily, he saw another tiger also approaching. He told this thief, if you can kill the tiger, I'll give you entire property. So the thief fights with the tiger, and he gets killed. So this one he uses. Cutting Current, he knew he directly cannot fight because again he is a citizen, number one. Number two, already he has shown his capability, so he instigates that. So he uses the example, and Uwe Samanatha discovers this example used by him because those days this thief and tiger story was very much there. So they live very happily. Here is the one, the Tirutaka Deva satisfies these, servants of the Sangha who wanted that we should be able to describe eroticism and the kama aspect of it and the romantic aspect. He describes here. It is beautiful because beautiful, young, and Vidyadhar girl that happens. Then we are moving to the fourth chapter, Ilambagam, called Gunamalayar Ilambagam. As time passes by, there is a springtime. The springtime, those days, they used to be having spring festival. So the spring festival, all those people will come, lot of play will be there. They'll bring lot of their material to show, exhibit it. Many of things will be sold. There will be bazaar, so on, so much activity around. There are two merchant girls, the girls from merchant that he called the Vaishya family, business class. They each one come with a fragrance, perfume prepared by them. So each one were friends actually, both were, but each one boasting that mine is better than yours. I prepared it better. So they wanted to get it vetted by somebody who knows about perfume. Look at this. Jevagan already showed he was good in war, getting the cattle freed without any fight. He was good in music. He tells all these instruments, different things. But now third skill is, now here is the one. So when we're searching, someone says Jevagan is around, why don't you approach him? You should be able to do that. So both the girls approach him, and Jevagan takes it. Look at the great. I am a chemist by profession. I would rather do it by instrument, do the perfumery capabilities, perfumery chemicals, aroma chemicals. Look at the one. Jevagan uses the thing. He takes the perfume from both the ladies, one after another. He blows it away in the air. And the bees come and get attracted, the perfume prepared by Gunamala. But no, our other perfume falls flat in the thing. The kind of perfume she prepared, the technology she has used, it has not destroyed the perfume, the fragrance, whereas Suramanjari is not there. He declares Gunamala, everybody sees, the bees are getting attracted. So But Suramanjari feels let down. So this fellow really, so she takes a vow that I will not see any male person. I will not see. She closes her door and says, I will not meet any male person unless this Jivaka comes and meets me, apologizes to me. I will not do that. That's the story goes there. As things go, then they move around. Suddenly, again, the heroism of the Jivaka has to be shown, kind of thing. The elephant of the king loses control and starts running around attacking. Gunamala was caught. She was about to attack our hero and saves her, and the elephant really is punished. The matter ends actually, but the elephant goes, as happens because it's the number one elephant of the cutting Karan, he stops taking food. And the matter is reported to king. What happened? He says it lost the war against, this fellow is tamed, the Jivaka is tamed, so it is very unhappy. He says, get him and kill him. That's what he says. Sends his cousin, Madanan, to catch him and do it. Some of his friends say, brothers, yes, why don't we wage war against him? Then Gantukadan, the father, says, don't do it. We should never attack a king. You accept it. And also he remembers that is not the time to do. And so he is taken as prisoner. Then to protect him, Gandharva Datta sends her Vidyas. She has a lot of Vidyas to protect. Sorry, before that, there's a story I forgot. I like to do that one. It so happens one dog was brutally injured during that melee in the festival. And Jivagat sees the dog. It is in the death condition, no way to do it. He recites Panchanamaskar mantra to the dog, sends it off. And in no time, the dog becomes a celestial being, Sudanjana, and he comes and salutes him, comes back. So this episode, the dog being converted, sent to celestial Deva, has become common proverb in Tamil. It is quoted in many literature that Jainism believes that even a dog can be sent to celestial part of Panjam. So this he did it. Before that, I forgot. He did after that elephant episode. Then Sudanjan comes and says that I am here to save, help you, and gives his mantra how to remember me, I'll come over. When Gandharva Datta gives her Vidyas to save him, he remembers, why not I call Sudanjan? Sudanjan comes over and takes him away, takes him to the Western Ghats. I think those hills he is living. And I was astounded by the beauty of Western Ghats. So he stays for a month there. Jivaka stays for a month, goes around Munnar and other places. He goes around, he enjoys that part of it. After 1 month, Sudanjan brings him down to the plain and he moves that part because the danger is already won. Before doing that, Sudanjan, the Dev, gives him 3 mantras. One is that by one mantra, he can take any shape, any form. Another one is he can cure any snake bite. And then he can also modulate his voice. He can sing in any voice kind of. These 3 mantra he gives him. Maybe that he knows that Avadhi Gyan, the Sudanjan knows that he needs them. So Jivaka needs. He comes back. Then by that time, Gunamala was in search of him kind of thing. She fell in love with him. She was looking forward to that. And Jivaka comes to know of it because she sends the parrot as the messenger. From the parish, he comes to know he has also fallen in love with her and he gets married. So Gunamala, after that coming back, he gets married. That's why it is that Gunamalaya Yelambakam, the chapter it is about. So, but then the Madan and the fellow who carried Jivagan, suddenly Jivagan disappeared. He didn't have courage to go and tell the king that I lost control of him. He kills some innocent fellow, deforms him and goes and tells I have killed Jivagan. The king gets satisfied. I got rid of the fellow who has already become a competitor to me. That's part of it. So that's how the this chapter ends. Then we have the 5th chapter. Here again, the Panjanamaskara mantra. The importance is being so much talked about it. It is something like that. It is the Selvari Marundu. He uses the word. Whenever we are to go, it is the one. It is your food on the way. So those days you remember, and Jains will not eat here and there. They will carry their own food, right? And that is another good rate research one can do. And from different Sattu to our own, many of them, and Gujarati, many other dish which can stay for more than 1 month. These are all shows that, on travel, you can make use of them. So he says it is that. It is your medicine. It is your, traveling food. And that's beautifully described, Selvari Marundu, Podi and all. So that is, he's sending home the importance of Panchanamaskar mantra, Panchanamokar mantra. And then coming to next is the Padumayar Elambakam, Paduma, Padumai, Paduma, Padma. Here, I told you that he gets the 3 mantras to do that. Here, he keeps traveling. He comes from Western Ghat. When he comes over that, he reaches Pallava Desh, the Kanchipuram and other place. He reaches the Pallava Nadu. And there, what happens is that, again, the description of how the Pallava Nadu, how rich it is, the culture, the architecture, etc. Other things are all the things to be mentioned about Pallava Nadu, which shows those days one can easily move around. You don't need a visa from one country to another. That's the kind of thing happen. So he reaches the city of Chandraba in Pallava Nadu. We have to see which is Chandraba, is Kanchipuram or Mahabalipuram. We'll have to check it apart. So he becomes friend of the prince called Lokapala, and he had a sister called Padma. So Padma got bitten by the snake and nobody could cure her off. Then this is an opportunity Jiva got to test the medicine given by Sudanjana, the mantra given by Sudanjana. He cures her off. Naturally, and the king was so pleased, gives her off marriage. So Padma, he gets married to her, stays with her. He stays for a few months there because he has 1 year total. No? Then he leaves the city in incognito because he can take any form. Nobody can catch him up. So the princess is in very much sorrow. Now we have to carefully notice it. Is Achanandi told him that you assemble resources. Kandara Datta already came as a princess. Then we have the Gunamala again in the rich family. Then we have the Padma is from the princess. So next to that, the kingdom, Yamangata is the Pallava Desh, is already getting the friendship there. So he is enriching himself, strengthening himself. That's what will happen. These are things one has to read carefully, the political way, how the young fellow, 15-year-old fellow, doing all these wonders. That is amazing. We see the power of the punya that is coming to that. They keep searching him, but they could not find him because he has already taken a disguise. He moves away because he has to move on. He has a mission. He has to fulfill it. Then he moves to Deccan, Takkanadu, which means Deccan, somewhere Hyderabad, around there in the Andhra, or maybe the border of Andhra and Parbani and all, if you see Maharashtra. He reaches the Deccanadu, that is Deccan, and there he meets one merchant called Subhadran. He had a daughter called Kamasari. And the astrologist told that your daughter, he was very keen out to get my daughter married. The interesting about Kamasari is she was not shy of male persons. When she sees any male, she will not be bothered. That feeling will not be there. I am a woman, this male. He says when he sees that would-be husband, she will feel the typical symptom. She will fall in love. She'll, throw the symptom of it. He will put her head down, etc. So that fellow, in order to find the groom, Every day he used to host lunch for any outsider coming, all the outsiders. One fine day, Jivaka reaches there, and he used to ask his daughter to come and see all the fellows and also serve one sweet and etc. And Kamisari sees the first sight to Jivaka, she falls in love, and that's how the marriage is performed. So you can see they're all interesting way of doing it. That chapter ends, he stays for a few days, again he describes the escapes, again she is in very much grief that we typically see a lot of. Next we come to the 7th chapter called Kanagamalaya Rilambakam. Now from Deccan he moves up north. He reaches Madhya Pradesh, Madhya Desha. He reaches Madhya, maybe Nagpur or beyond that, or where he reaches. Madhya Desha is at Hemapura. A city called Hemapura reaches, and he's just waiting in the outskirt of the garden, that outskirt of it. He meets the Vijaya, the son of the Dadamittan, the king of Hemapura. Again, you see here is a princess coming into question. So he got Pallava Desha already one side. Now the Deccan, not Deccan, the other Deccan, of course, the merchant. Then Madhya Desha is getting already enriched. So Katingaran, again, among other around him, he is making friendship with these people. The best way to have friendship is to get married, because marriage is assured kind of thing. The support will come at the time of war. So he meets Vijaya and Tadamittan, the king of Hemapura. And the Vijaya, when he meets that, the Vijaya was trying to shoot the arrow to get the mango fruit. He was failing. This is an opportunity, shows that the archery capability of Jivaka. In one arrow, he gets those fruits, and Vijaya gets very much delighted. And so he takes him to his father. Father was very happy that such a talented archer is there. So he says that you stay with him and teach my son. He teaches all his sons. He earned a place there. So the king didn't want to lose him actually, because he's such a great archer. He will be useful to us. So he gives his daughter Kanagamala in marriage. That's how it is, that part of it. So this is happening, maybe 5 months are happened, 5 or 6 months, right? The story. His brother, cousin, Nandatan, was very worried. He was so attached to Jivaka. He was worried that what happened to him, because the army has taken, that fellow Madanan has taken, and all things. Was worried. When he goes to the room of Gandhu Datta, his Bhabi, and she was getting dressed up, happily doing it. He gets stunned. The fellow is no longer visible. There is my Bhabi, very happily dressing up. He just could not contain, asked, what are you doing? What about my brother? He said, don't worry, he's enjoying going everywhere. He said, no, I want to meet him. So then Gandha says, okay, she asks Sona for Vidya to take Nandatan. Nandatan reaches Hemapura and then meets his brother and stays with them for some time. That's what happens. What happens to when Nandatan and his friends were going, on the way there is a forest, because we are talking about Madhya Pradesh, right? Madhya Pradesh, dense forest those days, Nagpur, another area. They have to pass through a forest, and they have to stay in an ashram. They stay there, all of them. There, Vijaya was there already as a nun. So Vijaya inquired, where are you all coming, young fellows? She saw very young and all. She could correlate it that my son, had he been there, he would have been this age. She was looking at it. They say that we are coming from Hemanga the Nadu, from Rajapur. She was just very keen to know, they are coming from our kingdom. He says, where are you going and all things. They tell the story of Jivaka. When they were telling the story, Jivaka was taken by Madanan to be killed. She becomes unconscious. Suddenly Vijay falls unconscious. They're surprised. She's a nun. She's a Arika, or what you call that kind of thing. And once she's, they put water on her, the sprinkle water on her. When she comes up, they said, no, he is alive. Then she says, he is my son. And they are very happy. So when they go and meet Jivaka, they tell, there's a good news for you. We discovered your mother. And we also discovered that your real identity, you are our prince. So very happily this happens. After 1 month or so it takes, he goes and meets his mother. And that meeting is something I have cried many times because such a art rendering scene. And the Tirupaka, they were captured as if we are witnessing to that. I do not know, someone should read it and say, it makes you cry. The meeting of mother and son. She embraces him. She feels so happy. Left the boy in cremation ground. And today meeting, that's amazing. Even today, I became emotional about that scene, the way the epic captures it, as if you are there. He stays with her for 6 days and takes, then they work out as a strategy. Time has come. She says, time has come now that you should take over the kingdom, avenge the defeat, and punish the fellow. The mother was there. And so the strategy is that she will go on back to her, Videha, where she belongs to, meet her brother Govinda Raja, and from there he takes the help of it. The story is that she didn't, this is a custom in those days. The daughter will not go back to the kingdom under distress because she will not get the due respect. So she was waiting for the time. She knows that my son is ready, captured. So she agrees to go to Videga, that is the Mithila, and meet Govinda Raja. And he waits for her because she has to walk. She is ascetic, right? So, nun, she has to walk, so he gives time. So he comes back to Rajamapura. When he comes back to Rajamapura, then his adventures again picks up. That's how that chapter ends. Then comes the chapter 8, that is Vimalaya Lambaka. So here in that 7th chapter, we see the richness of the tapestry of that forest products, how this ashram, the life of ashram, and the love between my son and daughter, father, mother, etc., all amazingly captured. The poet never misses to capture the environment and the occasions and telling the dharma bhata. When he comes to Rajamapur back, he's just roaming around, and here is a beautiful description. In fact, I added this Vimalaya, some of the stanzas as my BSc. And the Vimala is the exponent in playing, many balls in her hand. She can manipulate. She keeps in that upstairs, she keeps playing with the balls, maybe 7 or 8 balls at a time, managing them, their aerodynamics, using it. She keeps on playing. Such a rich, that shows how rich is the family, the carefree the girl is doing. When it was playing, she, by chance, one eye falls on the street while manipulating it. And she sees suddenly Jivaka. Never ever she saw such an handsome man. So she loses the concentration. The balls all fall down. One falls in the street. She goes to pick up. She wants to pick up. She goes because she wants to have a better sight of him. And she tremendously falls in. The description, that is what Kamba Ramayan, that Kamba, the poet, took it from here, Vimala. When Ram meets, or Sita meets Ram, that's a scene, he takes it from this Vimalaya, Ilambakam, how the meeting, how the love, and how the bodily affections, how it takes place. A beautiful description that happens. So Jivaka also fell in love for her. So he comes in those days in south, there will be a place for visitors to sit there. So he goes and sits in that place of our house, the fort yard, and the front yard. He goes and sits there because he feels so much attached to her. When he sits there for some time, his father gets that message in a way because he asked his astrologer How will I get my daughter married? Well, I found the groom. That fellow Nimitak said, some of the rarest collections in your shop all get sold in no time. Think that your groom is there in your house. So suddenly things disappear. So much a demand, his shop is getting sold of all those things. Suddenly he sends his servant, find out someone is there in my house. If the servant comes and reports, in fact, he himself comes there, sees Jivakan, takes him into his room, in his house, and make him the groom of it. So look at the way, again, he enriches. We have already gone through that already. Gantu Kadan is a very rich businessman. Now he gets the Sagra Datta, another businessman of it. So he's, he gets the resources ready. Then his friends teases him, what is that you are doing? You are getting married to everybody. There is Suramanjari, who she feels slighted. She is not seeing anybody, any male. If you can win her by your thing, you can do it. So it takes, because the Sudanjananda Dev gave him the mantra that he can take any form. He takes a very old man, very wrinkled, skin, etc. He cannot walk. That kind of old man shape he takes, goes to the house of Suramanjari, because there is strictly prohibited. Nobody, no male can enter that area. But he is such a old fellow, as if he'll fall. He just sits there suddenly, could not move. And the maids go and tell that there is very, very old man. She said, never mind, old man, never mind. She takes him inside, and he takes, in the night, he sings a beautiful song. You remember that Sudanjana gave that mantra that he can change voices. So he uses different voices, sings melodious songs and very attractive songs, romantic song, just to induce that kind of thing. So she's just moved. This old fellow can sing such a, that to so much a romance. She moved there. So meanwhile, he understood. He tells his friend Buddhisena, go to those days, there were temples. There was one temple devoted to come, they equip it. So she goes, she now falls in love. She just resigns that, okay, I want to marry Jivaka. So she goes to that temple. He already sends his friend Buddhisena to hide behind the statue. And when she prays, she said that Jivaka will be able. When she prays, I want to marry Jivaka, and there's a sound comes behind. Yes, Jivaka, now you go and see, Jivaka will be waiting for you. So meanwhile, he changes his form. Jivaka was just waiting outside the gate and get married. So just to show that he can do anything. His friends were challenging him, so he did that. So he completes 2 marriages here when his mother was moving towards North, Bihar, and by that time. And all this done, now Jivaka is ready, goes to meet his uncle, Govindaraja. He takes the horse. Through horse, he reaches that place, such a faraway place. Remember, all the way from Karnataka to reach Bihar by horse. So how good should be an horse rider he was. So he reaches there. So then comes the 10th chapter called Manmagal Kelambakam. Manmagal means the earth goddess. Man is earth goddess. So to say that he is now going to take over the kingdom is the Manmagal kingdom. He reaches Videha, meets his uncle. He is very happy to see him. Then they work out a strategy how to. So the strategy is that we don't have to go there. So Katingaran has sent a message when he killed Satchidan, his brother-in-law, that he was killed by some elephant and all that story. That I was helpless. He was killed by an elephant, etc. I want to come and meet you, etc. So he takes advantage of the letter pending. He sends a messenger that you come over here And also my daughter, I want to give her off by Swayamvar. There's an occasion we can meet. So Kattinkaran comes. All they were coming from Karnataka down south to Mithila. Naturally, he will not carry so much of army. So he comes with that, and his daughter name is Lakshmana, Ilakanai, and he arranges the Swayamvar. And that Swayamvar is arranged such a way, it reminds us of the Draupadi Swayamvar. Such a machine on the top part of it in the shape of a pig, and it will be moving. Tripangi, they call 3 pigs of it. Without looking at that, one should shoot the one. You can look down, there is water there. That's a competition case. As usual, everybody fails. Jivaka wins over the race, and that is the time he thinks. Time has come. Govindaraja asks Prince Jivaka to come mounted on the elephant. He comes there, he declares to all the assembled people, many kings have come already. Here is Jivaka, the son of Sachendra. Kattinkaran gets stunned, and he could understand he has fooled him around, and he says that he has taken me there. In any case, it wouldn't have mattered that even in Yamangata, he would have beaten him. But there, then Jivaka, it shows a beautiful one. He says, ask Kattinkara, he was so frightened, don't get frightened, forget about it. Now give the kingdom to me, and you will be given safe, your life will be safe. But since so many kings were already there, they are already shown to be all that, he says, no, I like to fight. In the fight, he loses, and the story, the purpose of Jivaka's is fulfilled. There he ends the chapter 10. The 11th chapter called Magal Ilambakam is the coronation of, he comes to Yamangatanadu, then he gets coronated, Govindaraja comes, mother comes, all this in happiness, and then he gets married to Lakshmana. That is the story part of it. In the 12th chapter is the marriage of Lakshmana, the Swayamvar, that he has already won her. And so that is being in his 12th chapter, Lakshmana, Ilakkanaya, Ilambakam kind of thing. So then at the 16th year, he has become king. He rules the kingdom with a beautiful description, how he rules it in a very fair way, how he takes care of all the people, how the Kattinkaran's close associates saves them from embarrassment, gives them Abhayasthan, and then he constructs a temple for Sudanjana Dev. Vijayama Devi converts the cremation ground into a school where 500 children are fed. She gives a lot of land grants there. So many things are being described. How as a king he has to repair the kingdom. For almost so many years, for 16 years, rather, the kingdom was in rotten state. He brings back to that. He rules for next to 29 years. And all these, and meanwhile, he sends, before the coronation, he sends messengers to bring back his prince brides. All of them come over, and then he happily coronated as a king. And naturally, when all of them come, it's a great scene, and he rules for 29 years. It so happens when he was 45-year-old, there is again all the queens and all, they go for the, Vasanta, what you call that, the spring Mahotsav, and they see that already his mind is satisfied. He thinks that I've done my job. That's not there. Meanwhile, I forgot to say, here is the one, the Vijaya, after having finished all the job, calls all her daughter-in-laws, take them together, gives a beautiful message that come quickly. She says that come quickly to me. The sense you live your life, then come back. Ultimately, the renunciation is the way of life. It's a beautiful message, excellent Dharma Upadesh that we see that, and tells Jivaka, your father went astray, you got 8 wives, don't become astray. It's all temporary. The real pleasure is the mokshasthan that you need to come. So then she takes leave of it. This fellow cries. She won't listen to. He sees her up, goes up to the ashram and wanted to plead her that permit me to come and meet you often. She turns her head. She does not show, and because she thinks the time has come to focus on her tapasya. First 16 years, she did penance only for her son. Now she feels she need to do the tapasya for herself, and she does, come and does. She goes to, very high swarga. She goes actually. She becomes a Indra actually. That's a kind of thing Vijaya Devi. So Zamati, Sita, Vijaya in Jainism, there are the great ideal women. How they do it is interesting. Vijaya's preaching and all is amazing. And as I said, after this, days pass by, years pass by. So one day they go for that spring along with his queens and all. When he was enjoying, he notices a scene there. There is one he monkey brings a jackfruit, feeds the jackfruit to its beloved, the cohort, the she monkey. And was doing that, one hunter around there sees that, he sends a arrow, kills that he monkey, and takes that jackfruit with him. It's just so scene. We all think, okay, so many things happen in forest. When you see that gardener has done this, gardener actually, he takes a jackfruit, he just correlates his life with him. The gardener is and the he monkey is my father. The she monkey is that, myself, or that my mother, and the gardener is Katengaran. Okay, the life is like this. It keeps our hands are changing. I think this kingdom is not going to be permanent. Then he sets his mind in renunciation, vairag, then comes back, announces that I am taking Diksha renunciation. I'm going to Lord Mahavir in Rajgir, and then tells him he wants his Nandatin number 2 cousin to become king. He said, no, I'm accompanying him. I'm too attached to you. And finally, his young boy by name Sachin, and Kandaruddhata's son, very young boy, he coronates him, and all of them now proceed to, all the 8 queens also go back to Vijaya, and then they go to Arika Chantana, they all take renunciation, and these people all take with Sudharma Ganadhar, and he does the great penance. And that's how the story is cyclic, comes to an end almost, it goes to Nirvana. And before that, meanwhile, there is an incident that I must mention. He meets one Charana Parameshri. Meanwhile, asks them, what happened? Why I have to suffer so much? I was born. My father was killed. I was born in a cremation ground. And tells very telling story that in his previous human birth, by insistence of his queen, just like Ram and Sita asking for the deer, then the queen insisted a beautiful sibling of, swan, Amsapakshi. You brought that sibling, kept it 16 hours, separated from that, and you killed the father of that, the sibling. And when his father saw, he tells him, you should not do this. It's a great thing. He got scared. He lives back 16 hours. The sibling was kept away. And that's why you were away from your mother for 16 years. You were in jail term of 16 years. It was a jail term for you because you could not be told that who you are. This kind of part of it. But he tells that he gets moved into that. And because that birth, that's immediately takes renunciation and that's how we got all that punya. So we get it from that Charana Parameshri. Already his mind is set for renunciation, takes renunciation, does the tapasya, and then becomes Kavali. Sruta Kavali becomes first, as soon as he becomes a saint. So in between, we get lot of Dharmopadesh, the 4 gatis, what all things happening. And it's amazing that Mukti Elambakam is the last chapter. Mukti is, as you know, that moksha, where it pours it out. 415 stanzas so, and everything pours it out. There are many things being said. And the one good thing about Tritaka Deva is it tells very interesting stories to send home the thing. For example, you need to do dharma, dan in right time. Don't wait for the opportune moment. Don't say, I become old, I become retired, then I'll do it. So he tells a very great one, stanza, very telling one. We will not see anywhere that it's a practice even in Tamil Nadu, even now. When you are in a dying bed, the villagers will come round to you and you can take, say, kshama from them, whatever mistake I have done. That's a practice they used to do. I used to see my childhood. And then they'll say, if you want to do any dhan, you do it. He will say, he will give that. That's a way to do it. So here is a case, he says, one fellow was so greedy in earning money, he was lying, he did all sorts of things. He lost his voice in the old age. So when the villagers come and say that you do some dhan, he's ready to do. He show his hand, bring that, there is the treasure, I kept it there, gold pot is there, bring it, I'll give it. The lady didn't want to give that. She pretends as if she doesn't understand. You see, it is unseasoned. He's asking for a fruit which is unseasonal fruit. She bluffs it. It beautifully puts the story. So if you think it is not in your time, in the right time, do your dhan, because for the Sravak, dhan and puja are the two tools that you need to do it. Once you become a saint, you become tapasya. So that these are things we see many stories that, and against Durlabh, the Manushya Bhav, that he quotes a story that is being taken by all other things. When I was covering it in my Jain audio group, and when I was searching the net, that story is this way. He says that Manushya Bhav is so rare that to get it, he gives an example. He takes an example of the, plow, that plow that we use it for plowing the land. There are plow has got two parts. One is that handle that we have. Another one is the kind of rod, not the rod, the one which we keep to the yoke. We put it on the, the bullocks. He says if these two are separated, one is put in south part of the Lavan Samudra, another is put on the west, north part of Lavan Samudra. They may come and meet and get attached to one another. But getting this, something, because our cosmology is very thin. The Lavan Samudra is very, very, far away, because in between you have to 1 lakh yojan difference meter, and that has to move and there has to wind to come from north and south to meet and get into plug. And it may happen, but to get human being form is very rare. This one has been picked up by Saivites and Vaishnavites. They use this as an example. Another example is that the invocation, rain may happen in every month, 3 times every month regularly. It's a beautiful one. We all recite it, Tingal Mummari Pega. And again, I searched it, that has been picked up by other sects and so much of it. So as we said, that the Jivaka Chintamani, a lot of the sayings, proverbs, and many things there. I was talking about the great commentator, and if you see that the book, 3,145 stanzas, it will not take more than maybe 200 pages, 300 pages. The commentary runs to 1,756 pages with all that, kind of annexures. The commentary by Nachinarkaniya is so rich. The grammar is quotations, bringing. So if you read the commentary of Nachinarkaniya along with the stanza, you don't need to read any Tamil literature. So rich, that's how he is being hailed as a great Peruri Asiriya. So that's what I want to say. But actually, so that's how it ends. But I actually wanted to bring many of the scenes, many of the incidences. But if you see the Jivaka, the multi-talented, good in music, good in archery, good in persuasion, and then trust in dharma, and all the way. There are many instances. He left it in between. He meets a lot of fellows doing Panjagni Tapasya. He guides them. He is not a person so much swayed by sex. And one Vidyadhara wife meets there, and he just tells that the body is Nashwar, nothing to do. So these are something we have to see. When any opportunity comes, we see that young fellow, 15-year-old boy teaching the Dharma. That shows his strength, the foundation he laid in his previous birth, as well as Achananti, as well as Kantakada's father, the kind of culture, the tradition, the heritage he had, we see that. So again, our poet was also very young, and he completed in 8 days because the date was already fixed. So 8 days, day and night, 2,700 stanzas he completed, and he lost his immunity once he's completed takes Lekana. So his job is done. So it's a kind of Amar Kav that we say that one can read. Actually, when I gave this title, I thought I'll take more instances. In any case, I'll continue the pursuit. There are so much of century, ecology, environment, and the ahimsa being practiced, the different cultures from Pallav Desh, from Deccan, and the Madhya Pradesh, Madhya Desh, etc., everything he captures that. The whole India. Now here is a Jivaka from south. They went to entire from up to Mithila to this, connecting the country, the culture together. So in one epic, we see all these things. Again, I take this opportunity to close here. I want to share many things, but I don't think already I've taken sufficient time. Again, I thank Dr. Priyadarshana Jainji for giving me opportunity to share some of the thoughts from the great epic. Thank you very much. Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra sir, you have not shared some of the thoughts. You have shared all the thoughts that you could in the first lecture and in the second lecture. We are indeed blessed because being a non-Tamil speaking Jain, I had always wanted to learn and read and hear about these stories. I'm very fascinated about telling stories and reading stories and writing about all this. It was indeed a pleasure to hear from you. Very nicely, you've covered the whole text, sir. I just wanted to know, is the text translated in Hindi and other Indian languages and foreign languages? I would like to
foreign languages, I told you that English, James Ryan not only has done it very excellent, he has taken it and put it in the poetic way. Like what is it? But nobody has done it because there is no motivating facts, because we have already Gati Chintamani, Chhatra Chudamani. Chhatra Chudamani is small in size, but powerful. And in fact, in Gurukul of all our Digambar traditions, Chhatra Chudamani is taught. My father used to recite by heart Chhatra Chudamani. In
so that story comes close to this story, sir?
Yeah, it's same, because I told you Uday Deva, they are from the same school, same Devgan. So the story, there's not even one instance is different. Oh. And only thing it starts with that, the Srenika asks Sudharma Ganadhar. From there it starts, who is this boy, so handsome? And then he puts it. Otherwise, Chhatra Chudamani, in fact, you should introduce into, and people should also take research into these areas. Even Tamil people from Jiva Chintamani, so much is available and so much research can be done. I feel a lot of research, we are off the target. I have been a guide and all, managing 300 colleges and 70 universities by grant of 500 crores every year. So I had a lot of control. But I think this is something. See, when I was quoting my first lecture, hardly you saw any quote from modern scholars. Tamil University and all created with all fanfare, but I could not get. It is for all Western. Even our Vijayalakshmi has to go to UK to do the PhD. So much can be done. So we have Gati Chintamani, Chhatra Chudamani, Jivendra Champu, and good enough, you get it. But Jiva Chintamani has got his own flavor. Maybe our Guna Rajendranji is already saying Jai Jinendra, she might be person of her, Shobhaji and all, they can possibly translate it. That maybe many of your scholars who can do it, join it together. Collaboration is the name, trade of it. In collaboration, they can do it. Yes. Thank you, madam. Thank you, Ratna Sabapati. Thank you to see you. Did you come in for the first lecture?
Thank you, sir. I'm happy. I was really very fortunate to attend this second lecture, sir. Today we have our CIS interview, sir. Morning I was expert, so I could not attend. Sir, with the permission of the organizers, I would like to ask a small doubt, sir.
Please go ahead, sir.
I just want to tell Priyadashna ji, he is Dr. Ratna Sabapati, the University Librarian of Tanuvas, Tamil Nadu Veterinary University, Chennai. So he is my former colleague. He was the nodal officer for the Vice Chancellor selection, which I was associated. Otherwise, also we are old colleagues. We operated the Digital Library World Bank project. He was one of the centers that part of. Thank you, Ratna Sabapati. I hope you are doing well now.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, please.
Thank you, sir. For the audience, I would like to say a few words about our most respected Dr. Devkumar, sir.
No. That has been done enough. Now you come back to that.
He has totally changed the face of the agricultural universities in the country, sir. All the 73 universities in India, agricultural university libraries, most of the libraries are on par with international developed universities because of Dr. Devkumar, sir. For more than 50 years, nobody was there to recognize the libraries. He was the first person who revamped the entire funding system of the ICR and gave enormous amount of money for the digitalization of the agricultural libraries. I think we have to thank you, sir. I have a small doubt, sir. In fact, as a student, I have read some civil syndrome in my school days. But after this, I have verified there is a small different opinion about the time period of the Tirthakathavar, sir. Somebody say that it is a 2nd century and somebody say it is a 7th century. I just want to know the sir's opinion, sir. Which,
No, in the first lecture I covered it. In fact, in 1857,
sir.
then one Peter Percival for the British time, he corrected, he said that he belongs to 2nd century AD. He gave that part of it. But, the idea is, as you correctly asked, because the richness, the language, with the language, a lot of vocabulary, which are not current, it is all very old, more than 1500 or other years. You are very right. When we read it, we have to see the dictionary kind of thing, because now it is not in vogue, those words. So that Peter Percival was told that it is of 2000 year old, the Kavya and all. Yes, that kind of thinking that in the first lecture I covered it. Yes, the person who asked you is very right. He's very intelligent. Yeah. Thank you, Ratna Sabapati. Thank you so much.
Anybody else who would like to interact?
Madam, I have been advertising for you. See, Dr. Ratna Sabapati, you could never catch hold of someone from Tamil Nadu Veterinary University, or Vijay Venugopal from French Institute in, from Pondicherry. So I tried to advertise get these people. Yeah, thank you, madam. Yes.
Yeah, we've got some comments in the chat box, sir. Kushal, one of our PhD scholars, says the second lecture, a story, gives excellent knowledge about the kingdom, aviation, science, management, etc. Internal enemies management, administration. Thank you so much, he says. Guna says enlightening lecture. Vasuki says thank you for arranging this lecture. And yeah, so that's it, sir, from the chat
I want
box.
to thank Vasuki ji. Vasuki has made a fantastic 103 slides she sent me. She spoke in Tamil. So Vasuki Bahubali ji, I must thank her. I was very impressed, but since I didn't have time to make the slides, I could not make use of her slides. She has made a lot of diagrams, a lot of very telling, pictures. Very amazing one she did. I hope she has given you, maybe you can ask her again, give it in the department. Vasuki, in the, after a long time, someone spoke about Devachintamani. We had Professor Sri Chandran, J. Bandarajan, Guna's father, our Tauji Bandarajan. There was one Shantakumar Navalar. Of late, nobody is really picking that kind of thing. One should do it. Tanjai Sukumar takes here and there, but not a regular way. Yes. Vasuki, thank you, sister. And wonderful slides. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
You are the inspiration. Madam also always motivates us.
I think we should more often arrange lectures on Tamil Jain literature in non-Tamil languages, so that people understand the value of the Tamil literature.
In fact, you should have a series of lecture on Tirukural and Naladiyar.
Yes,
and Jivichintamani. These are the real pillars of Tamil literature even today. Naladiyar and Tirukural. Yeah.
if you are,
You will get thoroughly floored.
invitation to you, sir.
Yeah,
You
because
wonderfully told the
G.U.
stories.
Pope and others were floored because of this. Everybody is claiming Tirukural as their own because of the richness of. So I put it on Facebook 3-4 times. If something happens, I was allowed to carry only 2 books. Which are the 2 books I'll carry? One I said I'll get Tattva Sut, other one is Tirukural. But now, of course, I can even add this epic, Jivichintamani. Of course, Vasuki has become very expert in this. So,
No,
madam.
no, not like this. Just a beginner.
Sir, it's 2 o'clock now, sir. Anybody else? We'll just take 1 or 2 queries. Otherwise, just one query. If anybody wants to comment, congratulate, inquire anything from sir, he's welcome. Otherwise, I would again, on behalf of the department, University of Madras, I would.
Meanwhile, madam, I like to apologize to you. I gave the title as a scientist I know, panoramic spectra. I am a chemist, so spectra is a very favorite way in spectroscopy. Actually, I want to take a lot of panoramic one of it, but like that, I use that. Unfortunately, one after another, other work, I could not really pick it up, but I'll be continuing the pursuit. But the way he has described is amazing, is a wonder. Thank you, madam. Sorry, I just wanted to add.
You have done 200% justice to the task given to you, trying to cover an epic in 2 hours and 2.5 hours with some health issues also you have managed. We really thank you and we request you to take good care and keep serving Jin Shasan, sir. Thank you so much. I would like to thank the trustees who have instituted this endowment, our Terapanthi Sabha from Chuplike, Gautam Chandi Sethia, Suresh sir, and all of them whom I may know, I may not know them. I'm thankful to all the participants who have taken their precious time and listened to the lecture and interacted with the speaker. I would like to thank one and all. The lecture will be available on the YouTube channel, Jai Bharat, Jai Jin Shasan, which is our department channel. We believe in promoting Indian culture and Jina Shasan. So we have our channel in that name. This lecture will permanently be there. You can share, like, and subscribe to the channel and see the other lectures and other videos that this department is devoted to. Thank you so much, sir, for this.
I like to, in fact, thank because I vote to the North Indian community. Nowadays, people keep talking in WhatsApp because I benefited. My admission to AM Jain College was done by AM Jain College proprietor actually, because I was from the village. The last date was over. He gave from the management quota. Then he wanted to give the scholarship, but I was already getting national merit scholarship. It could not be continued. I think it should be continued. Rajasthan, that library, I have not purchased a single book. And I used to simply intend them, they used to buy, the Rajasthan people, the library for all the thing. I'm coming from poor family. And so I owe so much. When people write, north with the south, I'm paying so much. And recently a post has been done, how many colleges, schools are run by our North Indian Jains. I think we must understand. And Jivaga's story says that he connected from all the way to Mithila to down south. Thank you, madam, so much we can talk about. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're muted, madam.
We would like to now conclude the meeting, and I would like to thank Shobha and my technical team who has helped me with the Zoom link and screen sharing and all that. And we look forward for more interactions, sir. And I'll be in touch with you, sir. Thank you so much.
Shobha ji should conclude with Tingal Mummari Peika, please, or maybe Vasuki. Yeah.
What is it, sir? I didn't get you.
That is the one, we concluded. It is Mangalam Bhagavan Viro, Mangalam Gautamo Kani, Mangalam Kundakundaryo, Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam, Saramangala Mangalyam, Sarvakalyana Karagam, Pradhanam, Sarvadharmana, Jainam Dedu Sasanam. In Tamil, we have that. Vasuki, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tingal Mummari Peiga.
I will join with you, sir. Tingal Mummari Peiga, Tiruvaram Valarga Sengol, Nanginidu Varga. You please
நன்கினிது
continue.
அரசனாக
நாடெல்லாம்
நாடெல்லாம் விளங்க
நன்கினிது அரசனாக நாடெல்லாம் விளைக மற்றும் எங்குல அறத்தினோடும் இனிதூடி வாழ்க எங்கள் உங்கவன் பயந்த நன்னோர் புகழொடும் பொலிகமிக்கே.
Thank you. My sister is there, Mahadevi. My
Yes, Anna.
pet. Thank you, Ma. Right,
Thank you,
nice.
Anna. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a
Vinoda
wonderful
is
lecture.
there. Yes, Madam Shobha. Thank you. You are really wonderful name, and you are also like me only. From medicine, I am from science, but we are taking interest in the religion. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Chittappa. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Vinoda Ma. Thank you so
Shobha ma'am,
much.
you can
Yeah.
close the meeting.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Great.
thank
God
you,
bless
Chittappa.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chittappa.
Shobha ma'am, you'll close the meeting, Shobha ma'am.
Yes,
Dharma
ma'am.
Shri.
Yes, we can. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jai Jinesh.